everyone. Just one moment. I am just making tweets and all of that and listening to trucks drive by. 1 minute. I'm just setting up a little bit. Where's my phone? I don't have my phone. Twitch. Where's the pop out? And then what is this? Alright. Hold on, give me 1 second. I would like to what? Of course, Chrome changes things and it messes up my workflow, of course, because I want to have this always on top. Show as tab. Come on. Alright, whatever. I'll figure it out. That is not lovely. Okay, cool. Right. So let's close that. Yeah. Oh, you're just watching me struggle. Okay. Yeah. Hey everybody. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so hello, hello. Alright, so on Monday, where's my glasses? Man, I am all over the place today. I'm sorry. On Monday, let me go get my phone because I need my phone. 1 moment. Sorry about that. Yeah, I need my phone for a timer. Tell me when to take a break. Yes. So intros. Hey everybody, I'm ChadRStewart. I'm a software engineer from Kingston, Jamaica, and give me a second. Wait, I didn't change this. Oh, my bad. Going through and complete. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry. Node.js Udemy course. Huzzah. Cool. All right. Let's start again. So, hey everyone, I'm Chad, software engineer from Kingston, Jamaica. Mostly doing front-end engineering, trying to learn full-stack engineering, and how I plan to do that is through going through this course. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the only thing I'm going to be doing, but for the foreseeable future, it's going to be my focus. Yeah, for the foreseeable future, it's going to be my focus. So, what I plan to do, as I was talking to myself, typing that. So, there's a course on Udemy, with it, whose instructor is Andrew Mead, and I am going to go through his Node.js course. I bought it some time ago, and as you know, as things happen, as it turns out, life happened, and so I put the course down, and then I went to do a bunch of other things. And now that I have time again, I'm going to do that. And plus, it kind of helps me learn full stack engineering because it's a full stack course, and at the very least, I'm hoping that it gives me a good base to kind of start like building my own applications. So when I first started the stream, I was building my applications without the knowledge, and I was just going to be like, I'm just going to solve each problem as they come up. Um, I could have kept doing that, but I'm just going to go through this. One, I liked the course as I liked the course as I was going through it, and I enjoyed it. So I am going to go through it again, or I'm going to try and go through it and finish it. I didn't get too far, but I'm going to try and finish it. And yeah, so let me one quick thing. So this is stream notes, I believe. Right. So I have a bunch of things here, which you see on the side of the screen. It'll be a little bit harder because it's just the way the stream chat is, but I have I have like the Udemy course here, the link to the Udemy course. I have like a bot command to say the link to the Udemy course of the GitHub repo that I'll be using to go through the course. So like I'll go through the work and then I'll push it to GitHub, you know, just for those interested. And then I have on notes, which is let me open up actually. I have a notes file that I'll just put all of my notes in while I'm going through the course and so on and so forth. And you can go through that as well if you're interested. What else did I want to say? So yeah, that's pretty much kind of talking about how we're going to proceed moving forward. By the way, for those who were here or is listening on YouTube, the last time I was going through a course on YouTube, and it was just Free Code Camp's course. This was the course that I was mentioning that I wanted to do. Mess around with this. This was the course that I was mentioning that I wanted to do. So during the stream last time, Andrew Mead reached out because I had sent him an email asking him if I could go through the course, if I could stream myself going through the course, and he said go for it. So, you know, I'm pretty happy about that. So yeah, I am going to go through the course, and yeah, should be a blast. So let me, I have all the stuff here, so it's not hard for me to go through. So I went through the course a little bit already, but I want to start from the beginning again, because it's been a long time, right? It's been a year or maybe a few months since I bought this course. I'm pretty sure it's been a year since I bought this course. So I am just going to start the course from the beginning and kind of go through it. I may kind of speed it up as, you know, as I'm like, okay, I already know this stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the idea right now. So let me switch the view so that you guys can see me. I don't know how I'm going to deal with stream chat, because for whatever reason, Chrome has decided to change how they open Windows, and I always do, for now, because I don't have a second monitor, I always do put this in, always show this, and it's not doing that. So shit. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I mean, it's just more annoying because like literally every time I click on the screen, I'll see if I can. There has to be some way to keep this. Oh man, try. I don't want to use my phone, especially because I'm actually gonna set a timer that that it's a Pomodoro timer that's going to shut down the internet from my phone to make sure that I'm not distracted. And like the stream, I literally keep the stream chat in the corner so that when the chat changes, I can I can I can respond to it. You know, like having my phone. Like the last time I used my phone, and it could just be my workflow, but the last time I used my phone, um, like I ignored stream chat for like the longest time, and I just don't want to do that. But I mean, if Chrome is not letting me do that, then I guess I don't have much of a choice. Let me check. I don't even have it here. God, this is really annoying. Oh well. Google ruins everything. Come on. Anyhow. Oh, by the way, thanks for stopping in, Josh. Thank you very much. Screw it, we'll just get started, and I will just be consistently annoyed by this. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the even more I can't even do that because God, man, really messed up everything. All right, whatever. I'll figure it out. Yeah, I'm gonna do it on my phone, because then at the very least there isn't two stream chats. So let me go. This is annoying. Alright, give me 1 second. Stewart. Sorry. Man, like literally on Monday, everything was fine. Okay. Alright. And then I'm gonna have to change this to allow me to have an internet connection. So give me a second. Disable Wi-Fi. Nope. Disable Wi-Fi. Alright, cool. So timer started. And I will. Cool. I have stream chat up on my phone, as annoying as that is. I'll put it on my right side, so I'm more okay with. Man, even the. Give me a sec. Let's see if I can change the lighting a little bit so that it's easier to see on my phone. Or I could just make my phone brighter. Okay. Right. So. Alright, cool. So I'll just do this, and hopefully this works out. I guess this is my new workflow for now. At least until I get a second monitor or something that I can use as a second monitor. Anyhow.
Welcome to the class once again.
Oh, alright, yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. So just quick. I guess I should just say this really quickly. So this is the course. I said that already, but yeah, this is the course. I'm going to be going through it. Like I may what you call it? Like I said, I may skip through a few things because I did a good portion of the course already. But I'm going to try and not skip too many things. Like I'm just going to literally do them over. Like so here, in fact, let me set this up because I actually need to do that. I literally have everything. I have a repo and everything, and I did a little bit of work here. But yeah.
Again, I'm Andrew Mead, and I'm excited to show you everything that Node.js can do. When I first started teaching Node on Udemy over 5 years ago, Node was already a super popular choice for new developers, and that hasn't changed. In the last 5 years, new features and functionality have been added to Node, making it more popular and mature as a tool being used by professional developers everywhere. Now, in this class, you are going to learn everything you need to become a professional Node.js developer, but before we get to that, in this video, there are 3 important things I want to cover. First up, we're going to talk about the course curriculum. We'll figure out how we're going to get from where we are now to where we want to be, which is a professional Node developer. Second up, we're going to talk about how you can get the most out of the class and the most out of our time together. And third, we'll talk about how you can get help if you need it. All right, let's jump right in and talk about the course curriculum. This course is broken into 4 major parts, and in each part, you'll end up building a complete Node.js application from scratch. So in part 1, you're going to build a note-taking application. In part 2, you'll build a weather application. In part 3, you'll build a task manager app. And finally, in part 4, you'll build a real-time chat app. Now, as we explore new features of Node.js and the ecosystem, we're going to be integrating everything we learn into one of those 4 projects. The goal here is not to explore Node.js features in isolation. The goal is to figure out how we can use all of these features together to create interesting and meaningful applications. So let's take a quick moment to break down the 4 apps we're going to build. The first app, the note-taking application, is how we're going to get started. So this one is going to be pretty basic as we explore the fundamentals. We have to figure out how we can do things like create our first Node app, use basic features from Node, and run the application for the first time. Now, along the way, we'll explore features from Node, like the ability to read and write from the file system, and we'll start to explore our very first third-party Node.js libraries. That brings us to part 2. In part 2, you're building the weather app, and that's a web application. So the user is going to be able to use and interact with your app from their browser. Now, to build this one, we have to explore a lot of interesting topics, like how we can create web servers with Node.js, how we can build out our own Node APIs, how we can launch our applications to a production server, and how our apps can communicate with third-party services, such as a third-party service that allows us to fetch real-time weather data for a given location.
I guess I should make a note as well. So I believe that the only criteria for this course was to have some programming language knowledge and some knowledge of JavaScript. He may go over that. Let me see if he does. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter too much. He may go over that. But the main idea is at least I think that's what he's going to do. So I don't think we're going to be like, and obviously I'm not going to be doing all of this installing stuff. What is Node? I might go straight to what is Node. But yeah. Let me stop stalling.
Now that brings us to the third app, and the third app is the biggest of all. This is the Task Manager app. The Task Manager app has all of the real-world features you'd expect. You'll learn how to set up authentication with an email and password. You'll learn how to set up database data storage with MongoDB and the very popular Mongoose library. We'll also explore other topics like file uploads, email sending, and more. Now that brings us to the 4th part. In part 4, you're going to build that real-time chat app. Here, we'll explore how we can use Socket.io and WebSockets to create real-time Node.js applications. The goal of the course is to give you the tools and real-world experience needed so you can go off and build useful and interesting applications once the class is over. So now you know what you're getting yourself into, and we're going to move on to part 2 of this video, where we're going to explore how you can get the most out of the class. This course was designed to be completely interactive, so to get the most value out of the class, you need to interact with it. Everything that I do on my machine is something that you should be doing on your machine as well. So as we explore a new feature of Node, we'll be writing some code together. We'll talk about what the feature is and how it works, then we'll run our program to see it in action. This is something that you should also be doing on your machine. Now, this is a little bit of monkey see, monkey do behavior, where you're just following along, but that's okay. It's actually essential for exploring new features and figuring out how they work. Now, when it comes to building up your problem-solving experience, this monkey see, monkey do approach no longer works. That's why I've included over 100 unique challenges requiring you to solve problems on your own using what you've learned in the class. So I'll set you up with a problem, I'll give you some time to go off and solve it, then we'll come back together and work through a potential solution. So both of these things are essential. Follow along with what I'm doing on my machine and give the challenges an honest try. If you do both of those things, you're going to get to the end of the class, you'll have the tools and real-world experience, sort of long cryptic error message. Possible. Faster.
right. I don't think I need to go through all of
Now,
this.
don't worry. Throughout the course, I am going to teach you how to debug your own application. This course contains a lot of new information, so to make that information a little easier to digest, I've included a PDF reference guide with the 3rd edition of this course.
Cool. So let us go through the reference guide real fast. I might go through this on my own time. Oh wow, this is literally not even a reference guide, it's a book. Okay, cool. Intro section. Welcome to the course. Cool beans. Should I use Node? First Node script. Yes, hold on. Importing your own files. Okay. It's almost like he wrote a book for the course. You can literally go through. I don't want to say you literally can. It feels like you can. Let me not say that. Either way. At the very least.
This is essentially a 112-page ebook, which contains lecture notes, code examples, and documentation links for each and every lesson in the class. So video is my favorite medium for learning something new, but it ends up being a poor reference tool. If you forget what something was called or how it works, it can be really time-consuming to dig through hours of video to find that one little piece of information you're looking for. The goal with the PDF reference guide is to give you this information in a way that's easily scannable so you can find exactly what you were looking for. You can download the PDF reference guide as part of the lecture downloads for this lesson, so take a moment to download it now so you have it when you need it. All right, that's it for this welcome section. Let's jump into the rest of the class.
Thanks. That's all, no problem.
Welcome to your very first section for the class. The first video for each and every section is a little section introduction. That's where we come together face to face for just a minute or two to talk about what exactly we're going to cover in the section.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Before we talk about what Node.js is or explore why it's a useful tool, we're going to go ahead and install it. And the reason we're installing it first is because we're actually going to use a little bit of Node.js in this section to answer those two important questions. In this video, we're going to install Node.js. It's a super easy process, and we're also going to make sure you have a text editor on your machine so we can use it to write our scripts throughout the class. Quick update. You'll notice that now the LTS version is 10.15.3 and the current release is 12.1.0. I've updated the class, and to get the most out of the course, it is now recommended that you use version 12 or greater. All right, that's it for this quick interruption. Let's get back most out of the 12.
I know this was so. When I had started the course, I believe he had suggested that we use the version for the course, and that prompted me to download the version manager. Like, that was the first time I'd ever really used the version manager. I haven't really used it since. It was a bit, it's cool, but that was like the first time I used the version manager. So that being said, I don't know if he does that anymore. I know it was either this course or another course that I was trying to take that was just like that they suggested, hey, to make sure that everything works as intended, use the version manager or use a specific version. So I'm going to make sure of that, so that, and I mean, I don't think Node has changed so much that I need to worry about it so much, but I'm just going to be cautious. Oh shit. Let me not say it's a book. Essentially it's a book. You see, this is what happens. So this is what happens. Like, I'm going about my business, and I'm just like, oh snap, somebody said something. But yeah, you're right. Like, he pretty much was just like, yo, it's a book. Actually, how do I put timestamps up? I would like to see the timestamps. Show soundtrack changes. I want to show. Yes, report ChadRStewart. He's a terrible human being. Oh, come on. guess I can't show timestamps. Yeah, I guess I can't show timestamps. Actually, can this can pop out? Oh, let me see if this goes into. I don't really use chat on my phone at all. Oh goodness. Nope. Chat only. Chat only. All right, whatever. Cool beans.
1.0, I've updated the class, and to get the most out of the course, it is now recommended that you use version 12 or greater. Work with throughout the class. This is Andrew from the future with a quick update. You'll notice that now this course to always support the latest Node features, so as you move through the class, I recommend installing the newest version of Node possible. Once again, for me, that's currently 11.0.0. So I'm going to go ahead and click that big green button. That's going to download the installer, and it's one of those really easy click next installers. So let's go ahead and run through it. Right here, there's no need to customize anything and a reach. The installer is all done. Take shit and put it to the trash. It is no longer necessary. Terminal application. If your is going to end up, it's going to look a little bit different. Commands and tech. One way, we're going to type code command. So we're going to type out node and argument B. Right here, I'm seeing version 11. It's the same version you just installed. Now, what if you're not getting that? Well, if you're not getting a version, that likely means Node wasn't installed correctly. And to simulate what this looks like, I'm just going to mistype.
This is long as time ago.
Type node. So I'll type node with 2 for the an error saying something like command this crack open correctly. We'll use it on our machines, then as a terminal experience scripts. So to do that, let's go ahead and explore a couple of different options. Throughout this class, I'll be using Visual Studio Code. You can find and install this over at Code, and fantastic ether. No reason you have to use Visual Studio to use. There are plenty of other options out there. It's systems, and there are X3 and WebStorm. Now, WebStorm is definitely more of an IDE than a text editor, but it's also a tool worth checking out. So all we need is to install one of these if you want to follow along. We're not going to actually do anything with the editor. I just want to make sure we have it installed and we can actually crack it open. So we have Node installed, we've checked that the command works, and we have a text editor where we can now write Node scripts. That is in questions. Use it to the
Cool.
In this video, we're going to answer a single question, which is, what exactly is Node.js? Node.js came about when the original developers took JavaScript, something that at that point we could really only run in the browser, and they allowed it to run as a standalone process on your machine. So before Node, JavaScript just could not be used as a more general-purpose programming language. It was limited to what the browser allowed it to do. So for example, I could use JavaScript to add a click event to this button or to redirect a user to a different page, but there was no way to use the JavaScript programming language outside of the browser to build things like web servers that could access the file system and connect to databases. All of these are things that other programming languages can do without any problem. All of this ended up changing with the introduction of Node.js. With Node.js,
Yeah, so I'm just speeding it up a little bit because, you know, like, I already kind of went through all of this stuff, and I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to just sit here boring everybody with, like, fascinating, you know what I mean? Yes. All of this information I am consuming, yes. You know, I don't know, I just don't want to bore everybody, so I'm just trying to, like, I'm just making sure that in case there's anything else. And so I guess he actually mentioned it, oh well, yeah, he mentioned it before, but like whenever he kind of does something, so we did that yesterday, like we were going through a YouTube video, and they would kind of mention something, I don't know, I'd sit there and kind of explore going through it. I would kind of explore something that he was just like, oh, I'm not going to talk about it too much. And that's probably going to happen here. I think that he's going to be a little bit, I think he's going to be a little bit better in explaining the stuff that we're going to to do, so I might not do it nearly as much here. But I just, fair warning, I do plan on, like, whenever what you call it comes up, whenever stuff comes up, like, I'm just going to make an effort to be like, oh, let's take a break, not break, let's stop and just kind of go through this a little bit. But yeah.
JavaScript developers could now use JavaScript on the server side, so they could use the same JavaScript programming language to create web servers, command line interfaces, application backends, and more, all of which we'll end up covering in the class. So at a high level, you know what Node is. Node is a way to run JavaScript code on the server as opposed to being forced to run it on the client in the browser. Now the question has to be asked, how exactly is this possible? And we're going to explore the answer by starting with this one-sentence summary on the Node.js homepage. We're going to read this out, break it down, and it's going to shed some light on what exactly is happening here. So Node.js is a JavaScript runtime built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine, and it all comes back to this JavaScript engine. Now, there are all sorts of JavaScript engines out there. Pretty much every major browser has their own. Node.js uses the V8 JavaScript engine, and that's the same JavaScript engine that powers the Chrome browser. And V8 is a Google open source project.
So this is, I guess I'll talk about this a little bit. This is one of the reasons why I was kind of interested in Node as much as I was. I don't know. The V8 engine is really interesting to me. Like, I always told myself that I was going to explore. I might even have the project on my machine somewhere, or at least the version of the project that I downloaded on my machine somewhere. But I don't know. This was kind of the thing that kind of made me want to gravitate towards Node as opposed to other languages. I just really liked. I just really liked V8. The V8 engine, and I kind of wanted to mess around with it a little bit more. I don't know, that's extra information, just one of the things that makes me interested in Node personally.
The job of the JavaScript engine, whether it's V8 or any of the other ones out there, is to take in JavaScript code and compile it down to machine code that your machine can actually execute. Now, the V8 engine is written in the C++ programming language. That means anyone out there could write a C++ application, they could incorporate the V8 JavaScript engine into their application, and they could extend the functionality that JavaScript provides. And that is exactly what both Chrome and Node.js do. Both Chrome and Node.js are largely written in C++. Now you'll notice right here, it says that Node.js is a JavaScript runtime, and that's true. Node.js is not a programming language. In the end of the day, all of the code we're going to write in this class is indeed JavaScript code. The runtime is something that provides custom functionality, so various tools and libraries specific to an environment. So in the case of Chrome, it provides V8 with various objects and functions that allow JavaScript developers in the Chrome browser to do things like add button click events or manipulate the DOM. Now, neither of those features make sense for Node, where we don't have buttons and we don't have a DOM, so Node doesn't provide those things. Instead, the Node runtime provides various tools that Node developers need. Libraries for setting up web servers, integrating with the file system so you can read and write from disk, and in the end of the day, both Chrome and Node.js are just creating their own modified version of JavaScript. Now, in the end of the day, it's still that same core JavaScript language, but with custom functions and objects injected. Now, this is actually a really important concept, so I've put together a quick visualization to walk us through exactly what's happening here. So let's take a couple of minutes to jump into that. As I mentioned, we have the Chrome browser, and the Chrome browser uses the V8 JavaScript engine. Now, when Chrome needs to run some JavaScript for a particular web page, it's an engine to get. Now, the same exact thing is true, uses that V8, and in the end of the day, it gets those results. Mentioned that both Chrome and Node are largely written in C++, and once again, that's no coincidence. The reason that both Chrome and Node use so much C++ is that they're both providing bindings when they're instantiating the V8 engine. This is what allows them to create their own JavaScript runtime with interesting and novel features. It's what allows Chrome to interact with the DOM when the DOM isn't part of JavaScript, and it allows Node to interact with your file system when the file system isn't part of JavaScript either. So V8 has no idea how to interact with the file system with JavaScript or what the DOM is. It is up to Node and Chrome to provide implementations for those when running V8. What does this process look like? Well, we have a table. It's not really a table, but it's convenient to think of it as a table. And we have a set of JavaScript methods and objects, and we have a set of C++ functions. So on the left, I've picked two very popular JavaScript methods. Here I have local storage.getItem, which would fetch an item out of local storage, and I have document.querySelector, which would allow me to query some elements from the DOM and then do something with them, like deleting them or changing their contents. Now, it might surprise you, but neither of these are part of the JavaScript programming language itself. You can pull up the specification, you can search for them, but you're not going to find them. That's because they're actually implemented by the Chrome runtime. When Chrome runs a JavaScript file that uses either of these, in the end of the day, some C++ code gets executed behind the scenes, which is responsible for taking.
So then, and I feel like this is a question that I should already have the answer to, but my question is, if this is a Chrome specific thing, then is it just an agreement between all the browser companies or all the people who have browsers that this is what we call the specific what you call it, the specific tools or functions, because I know like a big issue is always been or is always compatibility with major browsers. Thankfully, it's gotten a lot better because the user base has kind of moved towards using a small set of browsers as opposed to back in the day. I remember talking to a friend of mine back in the day, about like a lot of the browsers in like the 90s and in the 2000s, and it was all over the place, and you know, making websites for that work on the various browsers was a pain in the ass. Like everybody hated like versions of IE. IE would change all manner of things, and you'd be like, "Yo, why in the goddamn hell?" And anyways, the long story short, I wonder like because he says specifically that, you know, oh, this is stuff that's in Chrome. Like I just wonder like that how much functionality is like shared across browsers, just because it's like, oh, like all the web developers use this stuff, so we want to make sure, or all the front-end developers use this stuff, so we want to make sure that this is stuff that stays consistent around around each browser. Like it feels like something I should know, but yeah, admittedly it's something I don't. So
taking care of the functionality. That's why Chrome has so much C++ code. Now, Chrome needs to tell V8 what to do when these methods are called, so Chrome's not just passing JavaScript code to V8, it is also passing down the C++ code to S. Over here, I've picked out a couple of Node.js methods that you'll be familiar with by the end of the next section. I have fs.readFile. Fs stands for file system, and readFile allows me to read the contents of a file from disk. I also have os.platform, os of course standing for operating system, and the platform method allows me to fetch the name of the platform I'm running on, such as Windows, Linux, or Mac. Now, neither of these methods, once again, are part of the JavaScript programming language.
So I want to ask a quick question. OS platform. I don't know if this is. Oh, it's a function. Okay. OS platform. Linux. Okay. So it just gets the platform from Linux. So then. Question, what is OS? So OS, cool. So it's a giant object with all manner of things in it. Actually, can I clear? Oh, clear is not a thing I process, not exist, because I am a cool kid. Clear. Is all of this. Okay. Has a bunch of symbols to primitives. Primitive. Why? I feel like I should know this. CPUs. Alright, let me OS out CPUs. Oh yeah, so this is my machine. All the cores should be 16 cores. So this is the 8-core CPU running with hyperthreading. So in essence 16, well, I don't want to say in essence, a 16, was it logical cores and 8 physical cores. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this is 16. But yeah, so CPUs, free memory, get priority, host name, load AVG. I wonder if OS, I could load up because I have Windows installed on this. I wonder if OS would how different OS would be as an object if if what you call it, if this was on Windows. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not that different. Let me get user information. That sounds interesting. OS.user info. It's a function, I believe. Cool. Shell bin.bash. Okay, cool. And then OS. What was the other thing that I saw that was interesting? Not set priority. Version. Oh, yeah, version. These are all functions. I guess that's the release date of Ubuntu. Let me check. Of this Ubuntu version, SMP. So it's 29.20.4.1. That's interesting. Let me go to the summary. Oh, that's just a computer summary. It doesn't talk about. Okay, it should be here. Yeah. So it's the same thing. I don't know where it's getting this information from. Where is it getting this information from? Version. Let's see. OS version Linux location. Check OS version command. Cat etc. Okay, cool. So let's do that. Let's see. etc OS release. Okay, cool. I know etc should be a directory that I have. ls os. Wait, let's see. OS. Okay. Oh wow. Alright. Is it quit? Yep. Okay. OS R. Nope. There is no OSR. Okay. Plus. Let's see. OpenCL OS release. Oh, because it's not okay, cool. Alright, cat OS release. Okay, cool. And it's just like a text file with all of this stuff, and I guess it gets updated as Ubuntu gets updated. Sorry, interesting stuff. Just so this is pulling from that. So I guess if this were Windows, user information would be pulling from some not bin DLL file, I guess. I don't know too much about how Windows works internally. But yeah. Alright, so let me just put that away. Let's continue this. Should we FS? I'm interested. Let's look at FS. What is FS? This is a giant object, of course. Ooh, with a lot of things. Append file. Okay, so it has a lot of just functionality to deal with a lot of this stuff. Again, if this were in Windows, would it be called, what is it? I don't remember what I don't know what chmod stands for, but would you have that same, like literally the same file? Like I'm really tempted to. Well, I can't do it now because if I turn the OS off or if I try to go to Windows, I'll kill the stream. And then I'd have to install Node on Windows. Uh, that sounds like something interesting to mess around with though. Alright, you know what? But yeah, like, and I need to figure out how to get the function definitions for these, if I can even get them. Like, where would I go to get these function definitions? Alright, whatever. I think I've messed around enough.
They're provided to V8 as part of the Node.js runtime. So JavaScript doesn't know how to read a file from disk, but C++ does. So when someone uses JavaScript code in Node.js to read a file from disk, it just defers all of that to the C++ function that can actually read the file from disk and get the results back to where they need to be. So once again, we have a series of methods that can be used in our JavaScript code, which are in reality just running C++ code behind the scenes. Now let's wrap up this video by going over a little code example that illustrates some of the differences and similarities between JavaScript in the browser and JavaScript inside of Node.js. So to start, we're going to open up any website. I'm just going to use the Node.js homepage, and we're going to crack open the console. So from here, I'm going to go to Settings, More Tools, Developer OS to run individual JavaScript statements. So right here, as an example, I could type 2 + 3, hit enter, and I get the result 5.
Alright, so this came up a few times. I have no idea what REPL is. Honestly. Is REPL. Thank you. Read, eval, print. Is an easy to use command line tool. Hey, how are you doing? We play Sonic. By the way, I'm kind of happy. Yeah, REPL is the console in Google Chrome. I mean, yeah, but it's also the console. I guess it's also the console in Node as well. So I figured it was like a basic tool that both things were using. So I just wanted to, and I was hearing the term, and I was just like, I am not doing anything to figure out what this term is. Open terminal, enter node. REPL is a open terminal. FS read. FS file read async. Why did you mention that, by the way? Unless, well, outside of the fact that it's actually on screen, or was it on screen? No, it's not on screen. Read file. Oh, read file async. Yeah. Why do you mention that? But yeah, I just wanted to, let me see. Use command processing used for node expressions. It captures users JavaScript inputs, interprets it, and evaluates it. REPL has the following: a read function, evaluation function, a print function, and a loop. Ah, okay. So it's just like, so just takes commands individually, as opposed to writing a whole script that will take a whole host of commands all at once. All right, cool. Let me go back to this.
Back. I could also create a string with my first name inside of it, the string Andrew, and I could use the string JavaScript method to uppercase to convert that string to uppercase, and I get uppercase Andrew back. Now we can do the exact same thing in Node. almost all of the Node code we're going to write in this class is going to live inside of files in a larger project, and that'll happen over in Visual Studio Code starting in just a couple of videos. But for the moment, we're going to go ahead and just mess around with Node right here inside of the terminal. So let's go ahead and use clear. This is a standard bash command allowing us to clear the output we're seeing. If you're on Windows, you need to use CLS, that is the version of clear for your operating system. And what we're going to do from here is just run the node command. We're not going to put anything after it, just NODE, and we hit enter. Now what we get here is a little place where we can run individual node statements, also known as an REPL, which stands for read, eval, print loop. Like the terminal, it's waiting for us to run some commands, but these are actually going to be node JavaScript statements and not bash commands. So what are we going to do? Right here, we're going to write some
did he just explain
JavaScript
it?
code and hit commands, but these are eval, print loop. Like the terminal, it's known as an REPL, which stands for read, eval, print loop. Like
I'm so salty. I spent all of 5 minutes looking it up. he just explains it.
the terminal, it's waiting for us to run some commands, but these are actually going to be node JavaScript statements and not bash commands. So what are we going to do? Right here, we're going to write some JavaScript code and hit enter exactly like we did over here. And I'm going to use the exact same two things. 2 plus 3. Enter. What do I get? 5. Then I'll create the string Andrew, and I'll use the string 2. Uppercase, calling it, and what do I get? I get back the uppercase string Andrew. So right here, we can see that all of the core JavaScript features we're used to are still available when using Node.js because those are provided by the V8 engine itself. Now let's head over to the browser and start to explore a couple of the differences. If you've worked with JavaScript in the browser before, then you're likely familiar with the window object. The window object is a reference to our browser window. I can type window, I can hit enter, that's going to dump the entire object to the console, and if we expand it, we can view all of the different methods and properties we have access to, and there are quite literally hundreds of them. Right here, we have some methods related to click events. I have onClick, onChange, and others, and if I continue to scroll down, we have things related to the window size. I have outer height, outer width, and others. Now, all of these make sense in the context of JavaScript in the browser because we actually have a window to work with. What happens if I try to get the window in Node? I'm going to type window, I'm going to hit enter, and I can see I'm getting an error, reference error. Window is not defined. So window is something specifically provided by the Chrome runtime when JavaScript...
There's no window! I don't know, that was me. I think that joke's done.
is running in the Chrome application. Node doesn't have a window, it doesn't need window, so window is not provided. Now with Node, we have something kind of similar. We have a variable called global. Global stores a lot of the global things we're going to be accessing throughout the course, and if we scroll up, we can see we have dozens of different properties and methods available to us. We're not going to dive into any of these right now, but we will be exploring several of them as we start to learn about Node.js. Now, does the browser have global? The browser does not. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, I can run something new, type global, hit enter, what do I get?
Well, it would help that you type global properly. You know what? Let me not make fun. I'm sorry. I was going through this before. I don't remember. No. Wait, hold on. Let me make sure that because there's a bunch of stuff. Node. Global. I wish there was a clear. Actually, let me check if there's a clear. Node.js clear repo or clear console. Console clear. Close. I don't want to close it. I want to clear it though. Oh wow, does that actually work? Console. Console clear. I can't even believe that. Oh my god! There's other commands in console. They've thought of everything. Oh yeah. Wait, what happened? Oh wow, I am sorry. I have no idea. Alright, give me a second. Let me work on that right now. Cause I did not mean to do that. Come on. So let me go bring up, where is chat? Where the hell is chat? Okay, chat's here. I wish I would see stop spamming symbols. Okay, so let me just make sure. Okay, hold on. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's go here. Timeouts. How do I untimeout? No. How do I untimeout people? Untimeout. Where is it? Twitch. Unban. All right, let's go with unban. Let's go unban and username we play Sonic. Yep, is not currently banned from this scope. Great. Is there an untimeout? Pretty sure if you type I'm sorry, man. I don't know how to remove the timeout. God, I need like a thing that says, oh, clear intervals, set interval. Yeah, sorry about that, man. Like, what were you typing in? Were you or Control C? Okay, cool. Let me close that. That's not what I want. Oh, right. So this needs to go back to where it was before, which was here. I can close that. This can come back here. Control C. Cool. So let's try that again then. What was it? Global. Control C. Oh no. It's just this is to clear it. I mean, what is it? Clear interval. I don't think that should. Either way. Yeah. The black hole. Yeah, I need to learn how to use the Twitch commands. Because a lot of the times things happen and I have to go look them up. I'll probably go get a guide or something. In fact, let me put that in my stream notes. Get guide on Twitch chat commands. So at the very least, I can always refer to it. And I'll probably put it on Nightbot or something for myself. Anyways,
I get global is not defined. I actually misspelled it, but I'll get the same result if I do indeed spell it correctly. Global is not defined. Now there's another difference I'm going to point out before we wrap things up here. In the browser, I have access to Document. Document allows me to work with the DOM. So right here, I have a whole bunch of different elements that make up my page, and I can use Document to manipulate them in whatever way I see fit. Now this makes sense once again for the browser where we actually have a DOM. It doesn't make sense for Node where we don't have a DOM. If I try to print document to the terminal, what do I get? Once again, reference error. Document is not defined. Now in Node.js, we have something kind of similar to document called process. Process gives us various properties and methods for manipulating the node process that's running. If I dump this to the terminal, we can see there are all sorts of interesting methods and properties, including one, exit. Exit allows us to exit the current node process. Let's go ahead and actually use it to shut down our little node example right here.
Yeah, I think were we messing with this? What was it what we were messing with? I think it was module we were messing with last time. Module, I don't remember us messing with global, but definitely module. I think it was module and require. Yes, it was module and require. Module. This because yeah. Require. Yeah, we were just looking at what require is. Um, so what we had is we don't have a main defined because we're not running require through a script. Um, so we just kind of ran it here in the repo, and then we saw this, and it was like, okay, let's run it in a script. And so we kind of just console log require. Excuse me. We console. In fact, let me try doing that here just to see what will happen. Console log require undefined. Okay, that works. It's yeah. Yeah, and it had kind of made a bunch of things. So in essence, what it did is it output what was in module, I believe. Yeah, it output pretty much everything in module, I think, outside of maybe one or two things. But yeah, like we were just kind of looking through like what the stuff did, kind of similar to what I'm doing now. So whereas like the instructor will mention something, and I will go, hey, this is interesting, and I'll go look it up. I'm just checking my timer. All right, so I have a minute left.
That's going to be process, which is an object.
Before I need to
Dot exit, which is a method. I'm going to call it providing no arguments since it doesn't need any. And all we're going to do is run this statement by hitting enter. What do I get? I can see I'm brought back to the standard terminal where I could run other commands. No longer am I running little node statements. Now process, once again, does not exist over in the browser. That is specific to Node.js. If I type out process and dump it, I get process is not defined. So here we're seeing some of the differences between JavaScript in the browser, here specifically Chrome, but other browsers would be the same, and Node.js, which is JavaScript running on the server. That's where we're going to stop for this one. Let's take a quick moment to summarize. Node.js is JavaScript on the server. This is possible because Node.js uses the V8 JavaScript
I don't need a summary.
In the
so I'm going to stop here for the moment and take a break. Timer says I don't need to take a break, but it will be correct in about a minute or so. Tired. Anyways, thank you so much for taking the time out to watch. I really appreciate it. I know it's a little bit I know it's a little bit, on the slow end right now because we're not really writing any code. We're just kind of playing around with stuff, and we're listening to Andrew kind of explain Node. So hopefully in the next hour, we will start getting into writing a bit of code. So like for instance, let me switch this. Yeah, so that's the timer going off. Let me put this on no cam. Cool. Right, so I'm gonna take a moment to get up and just stretch and make sure. Oh, they're starting to paint the thing. Cool. Now they're working on a building on the other side of our property, and I don't know, I'm just kind of admiring it. Nice buildings, beautiful. But anyways, so I'm taking a moment to kind of stretch, and kind of chill out and all of that. So I don't know if, well, you weren't here. I don't know. I haven't seen you. I don't think I remember seeing. Either way, I just talk about this all the time, just kind of getting up and making sure that like you're moving and stuff like that. The body's not necessarily meant to just sit down and do nothing. I don't want to say do nothing, but do very little for like an hour. So, or not for an extended period of time. So there's people who are doing it for like 5-6 hours. They're just sitting there and working, and like they're engrossed in their work, but take the time to get up, move around, kind of move away from your desk and stuff like that. Take a walk. And I obviously can't take a walk because I can't leave my machine. Oh, let me put this back. I can't leave my machine um, unless I leave the stream. But you know, just taking a quick break. So let's see. We've gone through a little bit. Hopefully we'll definitely finish section 2 by the end of the day. Um, yeah, we'll definitely finish section 2 by the end of the day. We probably won't finish section 3 because section 3 is actually starting the note taking app. When I did this it's really writing what is it? Command line app, which is cool. I can show you the stuff that I did. I didn't finish the command line app. I don't think I did. Um, no, I didn't finish the command line app. But yeah, like I can show you the app that I wrote while I was going through here, and it was just me messing around with a lot of the stuff that was, you know, that the course was teaching, and you know, it's enjoyable. It's it's enjoyable. Give me a second. I'm gonna like chill out because I'm a little bit tired. So just give me one moment. I'll be right back. I'm just gonna take a quick break to just kind of rest. Oh, no, let me turn that off. Yeah, sorry, I just kind of took a moment to just chill out a bit. I don't know, I'm really tired. I think it's because I haven't eaten a lot. In fact, let me not stand so much because I'm standing and moving around. But I think the issue is I ate earlier today, but it's been a little bit, so I'm a little more tired than I want to. Excuse me. Oh man, I'm really sorry, but yeah, I'm a little bit more tired than I want to be. Like, so I'll probably work for another 30 minutes, I'll probably go through another 30 minutes instead of the full hour that I was expecting. So I can grab something to eat because I'm gonna work out afterwards, and I do not want to work out on an empty stomach. It just doesn't work out very well for me. So I'm gonna set a timer for 35 minutes. I'm gonna set a timer for 35 minutes, and then after my break I will just work for another 35 minutes and call it there. But yeah, so excuse me. Give me 1 second. So, what did I want to say? Yeah, so we still should be able to finish all of this by the end of this stream. Um, we probably won't get too far into the note-taking app. In fact, what I'll probably end up doing is kind of finishing this section off and then showing the note-taking app I have here. Let me actually, because we might not use this. Let me end this process exit. And then clear. So this is a note-taking app. I'll probably, like I said, we'll probably go through this last section. I'll show you the note-taking app I made. Excuse me. I had like a little playground thing here. And this was just messing around with some stuff. But yeah, I'll probably do that. And then we can just call it for today. But yeah, let me see. What time is it? 1 more minute left. Cool. I'll just wait until the timer is over. By the way, I know I haven't been mentioning this a lot, but thank you so much for tuning in. This will eventually be on YouTube, and so damn, I should not have my age there. But yeah, like this will eventually be on YouTube, so thank you for taking the time to watch the stream or to watch the VOD either on Twitch or however it is, or on YouTube. Wow. Why did I put this here? I wonder. Oh, I think this is actually a part of the. I don't remember. Anyways, yeah, just really appreciate everybody just taking the time out to watch. Thank you very much. Yeah. So what else? Man, I don't have any energy. So I think it should be. Yeah. So let's just kind of get back to it. So we will try to finish out this section, and then we can kind of wrap up from there. I'll show you the stuff that I was doing, and we'll call it. Let's close that for now.
In the last video, we answered the question, what is Node.js? In this video, we're going to turn our attention towards the why behind Node.js. So why is Node.js a tool you should spend your time learning? And why is Node.js a good tool for the job of building out applications? Now, as you know, based off of the fact that you're here taking this class, more and more when people want to learn a new backend technology, they are choosing Node.js as their tool of choice. The Node.js skill set is in hot demand, with companies like Netflix, Uber, and Walmart all using Node in production. Node's also useful for developers anywhere on the stack. So we have front-end developers who might need to use a little Node here and there to compile their apps or maybe serve up a website they're working with. And obviously, back-end engineers are using Node.js extensively to build out their web app backends, APIs, and command line applications. Now, in the last video, we broke down this first sentence. We talked about how Node.js is a JavaScript runtime built on Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. In this one, we're going to break down the other two sentences. There's only 3 total. We got the second one and the third one. Now you'll notice that you don't have those second 2 sentences on your screen. If I were to load up nodejs.org, I just get that first sentence we already discussed. In the past, this was the complete summary on the website, and I've cached it so we can talk about it. In my opinion, I think it's a shame they took it down because it concisely summed up why Node.js is an ecosystem worth getting into. Let's go ahead and start with that second sentence. Node.js uses an event-driven, non-blocking I/O model that makes it lightweight and efficient.
Give me 1 second. I am going to go check Node.js.org. Oh, really? Yeah, I guess they got rid of it. New available for release lines. Okay, cool.
Now let's just focus on non-blocking I/O. What exactly is I/O? I/O stands for input output, and your Node application is going to use I/O anytime it's trying to communicate with the outside world. So if your Node app needs to communicate with the machine it's running on, that's I/O. For example, reading some data from a file on the file system. If your Node app needs to communicate with some other server, that's I/O as well. For example, querying a database to fetch some records for a given user. That's going to be an I/O operation, and I/O operations take time. Now with Node.js, we get non-blocking I/O. That means that while your Node application is waiting for a response, let's say a response from that database, it can do other things. It can continue to process other code and make other requests. Now, non-blocking is actually from the browser. So non-blocking I/O started in the browser because otherwise the browser would completely freeze up whenever an I/O operation was happening. So if I was trying to fetch some data to render it to a user, while that data was being fetched, the user wouldn't be able to do anything. They wouldn't be able to click links or buttons, and obviously that's a bad experience. With non-blocking I/O, it frees up the browser to allow the user to interact with the user interface while those I/O operations are running in the background. And the same thing is true with Node. We can continue to do other things while we're waiting for those long-running I/O operations to complete, and this is a...
Sorry. Why did I have that? Where is it? Oh, and then I forgot to do this. So let's do that, and then let's turn this off. Sorry, I'm just messing with my phone a bit. Where is the chat? Don't tell me I closed the chat. I guess I did. The saddest to face it. 1 minute as I go pull the chat back up. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody's messages. No, I didn't. Cool beans.
Critical feature of what makes Node so great, and I put together a quick visualization so we can compare non-blocking to blocking I/O. In this quick visualization, we're going to work through two code examples. Now, both code examples aim to get the exact same thing done.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to use the bathroom real fast. 1 moment, please. upset about that.
Done, they just do it in slightly different ways. On the left-hand side, we have a blocking example. On the right-hand side, we have a non-blocking example. And there's no need to write any of this out, as we're just going to explore how these programs would execute using these timelines.
You don't tell me what to do. Out of the playground here. Let's see. Package.json. Do I have to worry about this? Script.
Lines down below. That's going to allow us to visualize the differences between blocking and non-blocking I/O. Now, what do we have here? We have a bunch of regular JavaScript code. The only thing specific...
I think since we're not going to use, we're probably not going to use that. We can put it back to
Node.js is this require function, which is called on the first line of each little snippet.
Let me just... I don't know if... does... Oh wait, I have the phone. I guess I can check what full screen looks like. Okay. Oh right, it's cut off. Yeah, so it's cut off because my monitor is 1980 by 1200 monitor, but the stream is 1920 by 1080p because a lot of my stream assets are that size. So I don't know. I'll figure that out at some point. But yeah.
You'll learn all about require in the next section. For now, all you need to know is that it's a way to get functionality from another file. So in this case, both of these scripts, they load in a function defined elsewhere, and they call them a couple of times to perform some I/O operations. The I/O operation for both is attempting to do the same thing. So over here for the blocking example, the goal is to take in a user ID and then go off to a database and actually fetch that user's profile information. And we do the same thing over here in the non-blocking example. So to start, we try to fetch the user with an ID of 1, then we print it to the console. We do the same thing over here using a slightly different pattern, which we'll get into shortly. Then over here, we try to fetch the user with the ID of 2, and we print that to the console, and we do the same thing over here. Finally, both snippets attempt to add up two numbers and print that sum to the console as well, and that's all they do. Now down below, I have some units for each timeline. That's going to help us compare the relative operating speeds. They're not exactly seconds, but for the sake of this example, you can definitely think of them as seconds. And now, we're actually going to run through each, seeing how they execute. We're going to start with the blocking example, and for both examples, we're going to ignore that first line. The first line is the same for both, and it's not part of this whole blocking versus non-blocking discussion. So the first thing we really do over here is we pass 1 into getUserSync. The goal here is to go off to the database and get the user profile for the user whose ID is 1. Now what does that look like? Well, down below, it looks a bit like this. Here I have a block representing the time this entire operation takes to complete, and in this case I've chosen to make the length of our I/O operation 2 seconds. And that's going to be the exact same length of all I/O operations in these examples, regardless of whether it's blocking or non-blocking. So this includes everything. It includes initiating the request and actually waiting for the database to fetch the data and send it back to our Node application. So once that's done, what do? We go ahead and just print user1 to the console. That is not an I/O operation, and it runs really quickly. From there, we continue working through our program one line at a time. We go one after the previous. So right here, what do we have? We have user2, and we get the second user by passing 2 into getUserSync. Once again, we wait 2 seconds to actually get that second user. Right here, these two blocks are the exact same length. The next thing we do is we go ahead and print that second user. That happens on line 7. Once again, not an I/O operation. It runs really quickly. And the same thing is true of the last thing we do, which is we calculate and print the sum. So this is the order of operations, and this is the entire time it takes to run. In this case, let's say it's basically 4.5 seconds. Now you'll notice the bulk of this 4.5 seconds is taken up by fetching second user and fetching first user. And while that's happening, our app isn't doing anything. It's waiting for the database to send the data back. It's not actually doing any work on its own. Now let's go.
Why is it blocking? Because it's creating these
Go ahead and run through the example on the right to see how this differs, even when the I/O operations still take 2 seconds. The first thing that happens over here is the same thing that happened over here. We are attempting to fetch the user with the ID of 1. So what does that look like? Well, you'll notice that over here, we're actually passing a function in as our second argument to get user. This is using the callback pattern, and if it's something you're not familiar with, if this code looks really foreign, that is a-okay for the moment. We're actually going to cover all of this in detail in the class. For now, we're just using it to illustrate at a high level the differences between the two patterns. So over here, what do? We start to fetch the first user. Now, the first thing you're going to notice is that this is not a 2-second operation. It happens basically instantly. That's because we're not waiting for the response from the database. That's the long-running I/O. Instead, we are just starting that process, allowing it to run in the background. So right here, we are essentially registering our I/O event with Node.js, telling it to call this callback when at some point in the future, we get the response we were hoping for. Now, the same thing is true down below. So the next thing we do is we actually start the process of fetching the second user exactly like we did up above. So at this point, Node is actually waiting for 2 long-running I/O operations to complete, and they're both happening in the background. It's not taking up our application's time, preventing it from doing other things. And we can prove that by talking about the next step. The next thing that happens is we actually calculate and print our sum. These 2 lines down below, they do not care about the user response for either user 1 or user 2. They should be able to operate completely independently, and that's what we're seeing right here. There's no need to wait for those 2 responses before calculating and printing the sum. Now what happens? Well, I mentioned that regardless of which example we're working with, the I/O operation doesn't get shorter. It still takes those 2 seconds. So right here, I have a box of the exact same width as our 2 boxes over here, and it's a dashed box, and it represents the time our Node app has to wait for a response to come back. Now, the nice thing is that while it's waiting, it can still do other things. So while it was waiting for user 1, it was able to start up another request, and it was able to calculate and print the sum. Now, after those 2 seconds, we still get the user data back. This is when Node.js calls our callback function, and we are able to print the user, and that's what I see right here. Next up, we wait for that second request. This starts just a little bit later than the first, and it finishes a little bit later. And once we get that data back, we are able to print the second user to the console. If we look at the total operating time, I can see that the non-blocking example was able to finish in just over 2 seconds, while the blocking example was able to finish in just over 4 seconds, a difference of 50%, making the non-blocking example twice as fast. Now, obviously, that's because we were able to overlap the part of our application that took the longest, which was waiting for the I/O to finish. Down below, we were able to wait for both at the same time, and while we were waiting, our app could even perform other things like firing off another request or calculating and printing the sum. That just is not possible using a blocking model. So in this course, we're going to be working with non-blocking code throughout the class, and that's what makes Node so ideal for things like server-side development, where we're making web servers and application backends. It's going to allow your Node app to process multiple requests at the exact same time for different.
So then that makes me want to ask a few questions. I have another application here that I was writing earlier, the to-do app that I was writing on stream. Where is it? Workspace. I think it was in Mead. Twitch to-do app, yes. And so I want to check something. Oh, let's start with server here. So require app.use. So this would be non-blocking index, use routes, because I don't know why I was writing it like this. I was just writing it like this because that's how I was taught. Let me just make sure anybody's said anything. Routes, cool. Where is it? So index is router.get, index controller, and then export it, and it's in the same pattern. These are all the routes, and I believe that I didn't. Yeah, so this is the only one that's defined. Or no, this is constant do. So this is controller to do controller, and then yeah, I defined all of them, but not all of them do anything. Not all of them have returns. Yeah, and I defined all of them with the intention of using all of them, but they're all in the same pattern. Controllers. Yeah, so this was just the index. Let's just make sure that it was working. This was, yeah, this was just to make sure it was working as well. I don't think I'd done too much with this. Oh yeah, yeah, so I did a lot of stuff with this because I had started to, but again, it's the same pattern. We have a function which we are exporting. Here we have a function that we are exporting that does a bunch of stuff. Okay, cool. All right. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. I don't know, I was just looking at the pattern here, and then I was looking at how I was writing to see if I was following that pattern regardless of whether I knew I was doing it or not. Which would actually make an interesting user controller. Oh, yes. Alright, so let me go back and show you. So first of all, I'm going to flat out tell you that I have no idea what I'm doing. So where is it? I have no idea what I was doing. So like naming conventions, everything completely out the window. The whole thing is a learning process, right? Which is why I guess I ended up just doing a tutorial. The whole thing is a learning process. So I have no idea how to do user interactions on the back end. So I knew that there were routes, I knew that there were controllers, and I used that same pattern to get a user. And really and truly, this was just an elaborate way to be like, okay, let's communicate with the database for now, right? So that was kind of like the point, you know. But like I said, I like conventions, you know, why this is good or bad. I didn't understand, and so I was just doing the best I can with the information that I had. Honestly, I really wanted an excuse to connect to the DB and do something important with it. So I was just like, let me go with user controller, I guess. Um, so if you're gonna say, oh, this is what you should do, you know, please let me know, because I honestly don't know. Like the whole point of this entire stream or me doing any of this stuff is because I legit just don't know any of this stuff, and so I am learning. You know, so like I was going to be completely haphazard about this whole thing, you know. But yeah, that's the reason why. Does it run? It does. I believe. I think my MySQL instance is still up. Let me actually check. Get out of here just in case I do something stupid. I think my MySQL instance is up. I have no idea how to check it. How do I check? Actually, let me check if MySQL version. Yeah. Yeah, it should be up. I should be able to. Okay, yeah, but actually, you know what? I still have the GUI which has all the creds in it. What is it? Here it is, Workbench. Yeah, so I should be able to run it, actually. Let's do that real quick. Service MySQL. Yes, thank you. Actually, I'm going to do that just to kind of service MySQL status. Yes, it is still running. Cool. Alright, so let me go into that real quick. Open. Just slow. Where is it? Twitch. Here it is. Right, so this ran, and I believe it was node start. Actually, yeah, so it was node. Hold on. So, let me make sure that. All right, so I'm gonna go in to SQL Workbench and get the because there's a user there. Yeah, cool. Yeah. All right. So hopefully this is the user. I believe. Let me go look at the code real quick. Password. Okay, so we have to send this stuff. So all right, let me run the app node. Oh, so npm run. How did it? Look at where's the scripts? Dev. Cool. Npm run dev. Cool. So it's running. Do I have Postman? I don't have Postman, but I have. What is this extensions? I think it was Thunder Clients I was using. I don't even remember how to open these. What did I? Oh, it's right here. Cool. Cool. So new request. Thunder client. Well, nope. So we need local HTTP localhost 5000. What was the route? Where's the route? I don't remember what the route is. It's been a couple of weeks. Where is it? Users? Nope. Should be server. So the route should be API. And this bothers me a little bit. Like, give me a second. I want to change something. Const API route equals. It's just bothering me. Slash API. Cool. So, and then what we will do here is we will just delete this stuff, and then we will go API route plus this. That 3 times. So now we don't actually have to have this stuff here. Save that. Anyways, I don't know. It just literally bothered me. Alright. Anyways, let's go back to here. New request. So API. I believe it was user. Actually, how do I split right? Split left. Okay, how do I unsplit these? Alright, cool. That should do it. And then cool. So right. API route user, and then we need the parameters. The parameters are dang it. Let's go. Is it users? Nope. That's just the routes. The controller, we need to use the controller. Cool. Here. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of showing Sonic what I was doing before. This is kind of random, but yeah. So username, and then ChadRS, and password. Pass here. write a SQL query to get it, and then what's the response that I want to get back? I wanted to just get the response from the DB. Oh wait, what kind of? No. I don't have this body. Oh, this is a GET request post. So I don't want that. Alright, let me close that. Alright, headers, nope. I'm sorry, I don't do this very often. Okay, anyways, username. I don't have to send that. I'm trying to remember how to port 500. Yes, port. Oh, 5,000. Thank you. Man, I can't believe. Actually, is this? Okay, cool. Oh, really? Oh, wow. So it's actually showing up here. Okay, anyways. Oh man, I wanted it to be a post request, so I didn't want it to actually be in the. Well, that's where what it was. So yeah, it works. I actually didn't want it to show up in the address bar at all. I wanted it to be a part of the request body, but I guess I didn't do that properly. Either way, it works. So that's the app in a nutshell. Let me close. How do I close? Cause oh wait, if I close all of this, it'll just yeah. All right. That's pretty much what it was. Anyways. I was just doing. I went back to the previous project. Let me go close the project and close all of this stuff. Let me close all of this stuff. Open workspace. Where is? There we go. So I was just doing all that because they had the blocking and unblocking pattern, and I just wanted to make sure that, or not make sure. I just wanted to kind of look back at the code that I was writing. Cause, like I said, I used a lot of that code. I used a lot of that code from another project that I did, and I was just looking at the pattern that I had written it in, just to see. Anyways. That was a bit of a detour.
Different users. So you could be fetching some data for user 1 while processing a new request from user 2. Now let's go ahead and run some Node code to actually see these two examples in action. Right here, I'm going to put on a quick demonstration actually running the two files we just had over in that visualization. On the left, I have my blocking example, character for character, what I had in the other file, and the same thing is true on the right with the non-blocking example. Once again, you don't have to worry about opening this project up or writing this code. This is just for demonstration purposes. We'll start diving into coding together in the next video. For now, what we're going to do is run these two scripts to see how they execute, which is going to be exactly how we described them in the visualization. On the left-hand side, I'm going to use one terminal for the blocking example. On the right-hand side, I have a second tiny terminal for the non-blocking example. Now, to actually run a file, we still use that node command.
So how is he going to do the timer? How is he going to do the timer? Because I would love to see him actually display how much time it took. But
followed by a space.
Or unless what he's going to do is run them both at the same time, which I don't know how he's going to do that, but yeah, a set interval. Yeah, he probably should do that.
The file name. So here, node space blocking.js is the file I'm trying to run. Now, to make things easier to see, I've delayed the IO operations to take 5 seconds, so it's a bit easier to talk about things as they're happening. Let's go ahead and kick off the blocking example. So what happens? Nothing. We are sitting here and we're waiting for a full 5 seconds before that first user comes back. There it is. We have their ID and their name. Then we wait another 5 seconds to get the second user. Finally, the sum prints exactly as we saw over in the visualization. So 5 seconds for Jess, 5 more seconds for Mark, then basically instantly after Mark printed, we got 34 printing. So this is the blocking example for a total runtime of just over 10 seconds. Now let's try the non-blocking example. In this case, getting the user still takes a full 5 seconds. So right here, node space, the file non-blocking.js. I'm going to go ahead and run it, and once again, we get the number printing right away. It started up the 2 IO operations, it printed the number, then 5 seconds later, both basically printed at the exact same time. That's because we were able to overlap the process of our Node app waiting. So the total runtime here for our non-blocking example was just over 5 seconds once again, running twice as fast as the blocking example over here. So that is it for our little illustration of blocking versus non-blocking. We're going to talk a lot more about this a bit later in the class when we start to get into some more advanced Node.js application code. For now, though, we have done a pretty decent job at exploring this second sentence. Node.js uses an event-driven non-blocking I/O model that makes it lightweight and efficient. So we now know what non-blocking I/O is, and we've seen that it definitely creates a more lightweight and efficient application called in the class. NPM is the largest ecosystem of actually the website we'll be spending plenty of time in the class. You can search for all sorts of pre-validated with Node. We're going to make heavy use of it when they're building out the next section. So we know a little bit about what Node is and what introductory set to get to that. So let's.
Okay, cool.
In this video, you're going to create and run your very first Node.js script. Now we're going to keep it simple for the moment. This is actually the last video in this little getting set up section.
Yeah, so the script is here. Wow. it's literally just that. In fact, nope, that is not what I wanted to do. But yeah.
In the next section, which starts in the next video, we'll move on to explore Node in detail, and we'll start to build out meaningful applications. For now, the goal is to just give us a place to even put our code, and we're going to figure out how to run our scripts. Or the command prompt ahead, I will be using the integrated terminal built right into Visual Studio Code, so we don't have to switch between windows. I'm going to put the browser. That's where this will stay for the rest of the class, and on the right-hand side, I'm going to put Visual Studio Code. Now the goal is to give us a place to put all of the files and folders. We'll end up creating.
That's an interesting setup. I feel like I should do that. I'm going to try that. As opposed to no, because I'm actually going to probably be copying code directly, so let me not do that. I mean
creating for our projects throughout the class. Right here, I'm going to expand the tree view, and you'll notice that I'll be using the File Explorer, and you can desktop. I call this something like Node. It'll open up in directory. Right here, this is going to open up that directory, the folders, and we're going to keep everything is working correctly. I'm going to create a brand new file, JS. Remember, code we write is JavaScript code, so right here I'm using a .js extension it can run in the browser. As the first and only line in this file, we're going to use console.log to print a message to anyone who is using sync2 of the class. Prelude script. Now you might say, script browser should have this docs page up top on the home page. I'll click on mine. Then down below, I have a long list of different modules we can work with. This one, the one that we just used, is called console. So the documentation for Node is a great way to get comfortable with the class by Node, and if I click that, it brings us down to some examples as to how we can use it. Now let's go ahead and actually.
I wonder if there's docs. Oh, yeah, it's I'm still gonna talk about the stuff that I was doing. I guess it won't be for too long. Is there like a what you call it, like a PDF for these? I'd really appreciate that. Not guides. ES6 and beyond. Okay. View on single page. View editing GitHub. Do they have like a? I would definitely love this in like a giant PDF. JSON. Yeah. Oh, it's just this page is JSON, not necessarily. So it's like view the single or view the single page. Yeah, it's view everything as JSON. Okay. Man, this. Well, I guess why have it as a PDF? if it's just gonna get updated, I definitely should edit on GitHub. So, oh, okay, as a doc repo. I probably should just pull this and run through it because let me see. This is the Node repo. Is there any way of going through the docs from here? API. Yeah. All right. So I guess this will work if we have a bunch of MD files, Markdown files. We can just pull that. Excuse me. Sudo apt-get install. What is this for? Oh, HTML to PDF. I will try that later. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, I need to stop doing that. All right, let's get back to this.
We run our script to see our little message print to the screen, then terminal throughout the video cuts. So for me on a Mac, it is Control tilde. Now we're already navigated to the correct location. Here I'm the path is main file, hitting enter to run it, and this checks and we're done with this section. Build out backend and servers into the section.
All right, cool. So I'm just going to go here. Section 1 intro. Okay, cool. So that is pretty much the kind of beginning parts of the course. You know, like just welcoming us to the course and talking about Node and stuff like that. So I guess I'll talk a little bit about the note-taking app that I kind of mess around with. So we're gonna do a lot of this stuff in probably the next stream. What was yards? Oh yeah, this was to take arguments. This was a simpler way to take arguments from the command line. Hopefully, I think they had us install I think he had us install a specific version, because it would kind of suck if we had to install like the latest version and then it doesn't work exactly the same way. But that's fine. But this is kind of the stuff that I was messing around with. I guess it didn't do too much utils. Why did I do this? I don't remember. I remember messing around with this stuff before. This was just messing around with FS a little bit. Chad, Planet Earth, A34. Yeah, this was just kind of messing around with this a bit. Funny enough, because of this, I did an interview recently, and we had to, or not we had to, one of the things that they wanted us to do is to use like some countries and stuff like that, like a list of countries, and they gave us what is it, REST countries, the REST countries API. And so I pulled, like, I just got like all the countries, and then I just wrote a quick Node script to clean up the countries and to output it to a JSON file, and then I used it in the project. But I only did that mainly because I had done this work before, and I was just like, yeah, why not? It'll be fun. But yeah. Oh, thanks for. Oh yeah. So the stream's pretty much about to end, but yeah, I'm gonna go get some food too. Thanks so much for watching, Sonic, man. I really appreciate it. Thanks for keeping me company. Yeah, I guess it's not all that interesting. But let me start wrapping things up here. Wow, I am bright. Why am I so goddamn? There's not even any sun, man. I am washed out. Good lord, I was not expecting that at all. Alright, hold on, give me a second. Let me. Hopefully the camera. There you go. Man, I was wondering why I was so bright. Thank you, camera. Anyways, So that's pretty much it. First, we went through the first two sections of of the tutorial. There's a bunch of sections. And as Mr. Mead was saying, that we are going to build 4 applications through. Is it 4? 3 or 4 applications? Let me see. 1, 2, 3. It's 3 applications throughout the course. Yeah. Oh wait, is this real-time chat app? Oh no, it's 4 applications. It's just one whole section for the last application. Yeah, but we're gonna build 4 applications throughout the course, of varying things. So yeah, hopefully the next stream is a little bit more interesting. Like, all of this was just kind of exploratory, so like we just kind of took the time out to go do some stuff, to kind of like look through some stuff. But yeah, anyhow, really appreciate you watching the stream, whether or not you watch the stream here or you watch the VOD either on Twitch or on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Really, thank you so much. Yeah, so I guess we'll kind of. So obviously the next stream will be continuing with the course. Yeah, we'll just be continuing through the course. So we'll try to get through as much of it as possible. Thankfully, like, I can actually run the playback at like 1.5, and so that should make it a little bit faster to kind of get through the course, so we're not spending too much time, like just kind of listening to the video and actually writing code and messing around with things. Anyhow, I never talk about this, but I have a YouTube channel, as you can see on screen. It's ChadRStewart. It doesn't have a specific like address yet from YouTube, but yeah, you can just search through it. Search ChadRStewart on YouTube and you'll find it. The VODs for the stream go there. What else did I want to say? I think that's about it. Again, thank you so much for watching the stream, and I'll see you later. You guys have a good one. You have a good one. Yeah. Oh wait, I keep forgetting I have a stream ending thing, so let me go do that.